Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to another Minecraft Bedrock tutorial. Today, we are talking about stairs. Now, stairs, why are we talking about these? Well, they are slow, bulky, and they take up a lot of space. So in order to fix that, today, I've made this small, quick, multi-floor bubble vader that you can have up to 15 floors on. So, I'm going to quickly come down here, and we can see how this entire system works. You just come to a lectern, pick your page, so I want to go to floor 8, and press the button, and the entire machine will kick into action. Now, there's a lamp over here that lets you know when you can start activating the system or not. Now, whenever the lamp is off, you cannot switch pages on the book or press a button. If you do, there's a good chance that you will break the system, and then if the lamp is on, it's ready for you to switch pages in the book and press a button again. Now, as you can see there, the lamp just turned on because this system is very fast. So I press a button, and all I have to do is come into the elevator, and it will take me all the way up to floor number 8. So if I just come in right here, we see I'm at floor number 8, and I've even managed to put in a drop chute right here. Now, this drop chute is almost completely seamless, so you won't see any redstone, and you can have any blocks in any of these spots, but you will have to have a solid block, and then a piston here. But besides that, you can have a drop chute right next to your bubble vader with almost no redstone being seen. Now, with this elevator, I said it was multi-floor, and what I mean by that is you can have multiple floors, but not only that, you can have them at varying heights. So, for example, here, this floor has a 3 high ceiling, this is a 3 high ceiling, then I have a 4 high ceiling, 5 high ceiling, and then another, well, this is infinite high, but it could be another 3 high ceiling. So the great thing about this elevator design is you can have different floors at different heights within the same building, and the elevator will work for all of them. Now, this elevator should also work on servers in other laggier worlds because they all revolve around Etho hopper clocks. How these work is they send a certain amount of items back and forth, so we see here is 24 items, and by doing that, we are able to specify how long the entire system is running. Now, the one limitation to this entire machine is it cannot do 2 high ceilings. So if you have an entire skyscraper that only has 2 high ceilings, well, this system will not work for you. But if you do have 2 high ceilings, guys, please, next time you build that skyscraper, or just go back to it right now, give it a 3 high ceiling, give you some headroom, some jumping room, and that way next time you can build this entire elevator. Now, every single floor has a different module that is all run off this big beast at the bottom. Now, I made sure to put all the big, complicated redstone here at the bottom. That way, for every single floor, it's as small and clean and as simple and compact as I possibly can make it. So, all the big and complicated redstones down here, and this does not have to remain here. This can be moved anywhere you want. You can push it down 30 blocks, you can push it underneath, but the further away you have this from the actual elevator, the slower the elevator will be, because it's going to take that long to decode what you have from this lectern. The entire system works whenever you press this button. We can come over here and we can see a redstone block move. That's because this red coder figured out which signal strength we wanted, and that's from this book. We are taking a comparator output from that we are unlocking using a redstone repeater. So if I just press the button one more time, we can see this in action. You can see the comparator went on and then went off, and that's because the button turned off this redstone torch, which is unlocking this comparator. By doing that, we are able to see how long the signal strength is and see the entire system work. Now, the reason why I'm able to make this system so small is because I'm controlling it all with just 2 torch towers. Now, the first one right here to the left is simply locking this hopper. By doing that, we are able to turn the entire system on and off and hold it on so that you have time to get up to your floor and get off before the elevator will reset itself. Now, the second torch tower is what actually does all the magic. Now, it's going to start over here at an AND gate. This means that both this torch and this redstone dust has to turn off before it will let this torch above here turn on. The reason why that's important is every single segment is built upon this torch tower. Now, until this elevator says, I'm completely ready for the next one to go, it won't do it. And that's what all these Etho hopper clocks are down here for, is the longer the duration, the more these segments will go off, which means the more floors you will ascend upwards. Now, whenever that happens, it's going to first move this observer over by the sticky piston. By doing that, we are pushing these 2 items into this hopper. Now, whenever an item first gets there, it's going to first activate this system, and this system will simply dispense a water bucket. Now, whenever both the items are in there, or all the items that leave this dropper right here, that will turn off this comparator, which will then turn off this redstone dust. By doing that, we will have both this torch and this redstone dust off. because this lever is flicked. So we can see that turns off, and that will then activate the next one. Now if I just turn it back on, we can see that the entire system resets. Now another quick thing I needed to quickly mention to you guys is how you need the Lectern. Now the Lectern is a very important part of the entire system because it lets us know which floor on your skyscraper you actually want to go to. So how we're able to figure that out all comes down to this comparator. Now this comparator will give a signal strength depending on how many pages are flipped. So right now it is flipped on page number 13, which means it's going to give a signal strength of 13. Now that is very important because this red coder actually detects the signal strength. Without that, we wouldn't know which floor we are going on. Now, if you want to have the exact same thing for your elevator, you're going to need to have exactly 30 pages in your book. Now, even if you're only going to have 4 floors, you need to have 30 pages, because what it does is it takes the total number of pages and then divides that by 15. So, for example, here I have 30 pages. 30 pages divided by 15 is 2. Now, in Minecraft Bedrock, you see 2 pages at the same time. So, every time I flip this page, the redstone signal strength is going to be increased by 1 redstone dust. And that's how we're able to detect every single page. So make as many pages as you need for all your floors, and then go all the way to the 30th page, and then write something there. That way, your book always has 30 pages, no matter what. Alright, we are ready to start the tutorial. So if you guys want a material list or will download, I'll have that linked in the description of this video. And also, if you made it this far, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. It'll help me out a lot, and you're probably going to enjoy some more of my content in the future. So thank you guys a lot. So for the tutorial, I'm going to be doing a total of 5 floors. So that's counting the ground floor. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now when we're actually building the elevator, we're only going to build segments on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floor. When you actually have to build the elevator, you're not going to build it on the 1st floor, and you're not going to build it on the very tippy top floor. We're going to start by putting in all our dispensers. So go to your floor, each of your floors, and right level with the floor, we are going to place a dispenser right there. Once you have the dispensers placed in, you're going to go around to the back side of these, and we are going to place a sticky piston facing towards the dispenser. Now coming down onto that sticky piston, we're going to have 2 observers, right like that, and we're going to have a comparator right here. That comparator is going to have a dropper and a hopper, right like that, and in this bottom dropper, you can have 1 item of anything you want. It doesn't matter, just so long as you don't care about it. Now, 2 blocks above the dispenser, we are going to place a solid block here with a torch. Now, on the back side of this block, we are going to have an observer facing down into a solid block right here. And then on top of this, we'll have a comparator facing into that block. Now, right here, depending on what this block is, you need to change this to a solid block so that the comparator can read a signal through it. Because on this side, we are going to have a dropper. This dropper is going to be facing into a hopper. And then in here, you're going to need at least 2 items. Now, this does not need to be non-stackable, but again, I'm just putting any item in there. Now, if your system is too fast, for example, if you have a laggy server and you need to slow the system down, there's 2 things you can do. The first thing you can do is to put more items into your Etho hopper clock, and that'll slow the entire system down. But then you might not hit the exact floor you want. So another way to slow it down is to put more items into this dropper. The more items to put into this, the longer it will take in order for it to trigger at the next floor above it, which means the more time you have to stop on this floor. But by doing that, you're also making the elevator slightly slower, so it's just finding the right in between. But at least on my single player world, I found that 2 swords works just fine. Alright, so right underneath this block, we're going to have a sticky piston, and then right here, we're going to have 2 observers to create an observer clock to then, therefore, make all these items in this dropper go into this hopper. Now from this dropper, we are going to take a comparator output, and this comparator is going to go right into a block. Now from this block, we will also have a repeater. Now from this repeater that's on 1 tick, that will go into a block with redstone dust right on top of that. Now in every segment, you need to make sure you have a block on this sticky piston, and then a block here on this hopper. Now we're going to have redstone torches right on top of those, go another 2 blocks, and then 2 more redstone torches. Now, we're not going to place any torches below these, but these torches are important because this will help lead to the next segment right above it. Now, with that, we have finished building the first segment. Now, you have to build one of these segments for every single floor that you have a dispenser on. So, there's dispenser here and dispenser here. So, that's going to be 2 more floors. Now, if you have varying heights and ceilings, so, for example, this is 3 high, this is 4 high, this is 5 high, I'm going to hold off the torch towers for last, but until then, I'm going to go ahead and build the rest of the segment all the way around. And after a little bit of building, I have finished building every single one of these segments. Now, the last thing to work on is this torch tower, and these two torch towers are going up right in the center. Now, I will mention, if you want to save a little bit of redstone resources, at the very top floor, you do not actually need this part right here, because this part right here, just all it tells is for the next system, it's alright for that system to activate. Now, again, like we did for the very first one, we need to first come here and place a block on the sticky piston and a block on the hopper. Now, the torches need to go directly to those blocks, and those torches at their default phase without any torches underneath need to be in their off phase. So this is off and off, so we're good. We'll just extend these torches first, like this. Now, right here, this is actually the worst case scenario that you can have. Now, normally, all you have to do is simply snake up the line like this, and you should be able to get this torch to the default off right below this block, and then the entire system should work fine. But if not, you're going to have to do something a little bit different. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have a piston, and then on top of the piston, then have a torch. Now, by doing this, we're using some redstone mechanics that whenever a piston is powered, if there's a torch on it, that means the torch is turned off. So we're able to simply extend it up 2 blocks. Now, normally, like I said, you can just simply put the torches on the side. But again, for these scenarios, you're going to have to do something a little bit different. Now, we cannot have this piston facing into this block. So we're going to have this facing the opposite direction, like that. And then on top of this piston, you'll have another torch. Now, if you do not want any noise from these pistons, then all you have to do is to place an obsidian block right in front of them. And then they'll make no noise, but still do the same function. But if that doesn't bother you, because the rest of the system already has extending pistons, then just don't worry about it, because the noise will just blend in with the rest of the machine. Alright, now come around to the front side of the ground floor, and we are going to place our lectern right here, with the button right on top. Now on the back side of the lectern, we are going to have 2 blocks coming out, with a comparator and some redstone dust. Now, if you have a book in there with your 30 pages, so it's all set up and ready for you to go, you should see that there is some power coming through the comparator. Now, off the side of this comparator, we will have a redstone repeater, and that repeater's going to have 3 blocks coming in a horizontal. We'll have 2 pieces of redstone dust, and then right here we'll have a torch. Now, from that line, we are going to build this part. This is the decoder, and then we have our Etho hopper clocks. Now, these do not need to be in this back here. Again, you can move this wherever you want, but again, remember, the further you have this away, the slower the system will be. Now, once you have built your comparator line to wherever you want your Etho hopper clocks and red coder to be, we're going to split the final comparator off on 2 blocks. Now, before we can actually start building this back section, we need to come around to the front and start counting all our floors. Now, if you were to just walk in your elevator, it's going to automatically take you up to your first floor. So we don't need to count the first floor, and we don't need to count the ground floor. So I have 1, 2, 3 floors. So because of that, I am going to have to extend this off 3 blocks. So we're going to place 2 blocks here, and then come out a total of 3 blocks. So we see this is 3 blocks long, and then for the top one, we're going to do the exact same thing, except we're only going to make it 1 block wide. Now, again, if you have more floors than me, all you have to do is extend this to however many floors you need. And then if you have fewer floors than me, then just do fewer of these. Now, on the bottom layer, we are going to put repeaters all on 1 tick facing out, and then connecting all this up, we're going to have redstone dust. And then on the next layer up, we're going to have just redstone dust. Going on the other side of these repeaters, we are going to have blocks, and then on these blocks, we're going to have redstone torches, which are then going to be going into blocks right on top of them with some more redstone torches. Now, going into each of these blocks, we are going to have repeaters, and these repeaters are going to be on 2 ticks. Now, this is the perfect spot for you guys to stop and make sure that you have all the comparator and red coder wiring complete and is correct. Because if this is not correct, the rest of your system will not work. So come over to your lectern, and let's try to go to floor number 3. So that will be the second torch tower right there in the middle. So if I press the button, we should see that torch tower and only this torch tower go off, and that means our red coder is working. Alright, now we're going to start working on the Etho hopper clock. So from your first torch, we're going to go up another block, torch, and then another block. And then from here, we're going to have a normal piston, redstone block, then we'll come out 2 blocks, and then we will place a normal piston facing back. Now on top of this redstone block, we will have 2 hoppers going right into each other, and then we'll have a comparator with a redstone dust right here. Now all that's left to do is to repeat the same process for every single one of the torches on your red coder. Now, when it comes to Etho hopper clocks, there is one thing you need to be aware of, and that is if you're going to have a large system like I have here. If you are going to have over 10 Etho hopper clocks in a row, there's a good chance you're going to have to do what I did here and stagger them. Now, the reason you're going to have to do that all comes down to hopper signal strength. So, if you have more than 22 items in a hopper, then it's going to give a redstone value of 2. And because of that, you're actually going to break the system. So, all these Etho hopper clocks are right next to each other. So if this redstone dust bleeds into this block over to this redstone dust, then that's going to power the piston right beside it, therefore breaking all the hopper clocks right next to it. So you're going to have to do this weird staggering effect right like this if you're going to have over 10 floors, just as a safe precaution. So in the brown right here, I'm going to show you guys how to do exactly that and how to stagger these back and forth. So from these, we're still going to come up a singular block, and then we're going to come over one with a torch right here. Then we're going to repeat the normal process for all the others, with it being straight there. Then we'll have redstone block. Then we'll come out another 2 blocks, and then right here we will put another piston. Now on top of these, again, we're going to have 2 hoppers going back and forth with a comparator and redstone dust. And just like that, this one works. Now for the next one, right next to it, you are not doing the same thing. You're going back to the original design, which means that you're going to put a redstone torch on above. Then we'll have a block on top with a normal piston. Then we have a redstone block. Then we'll come out another 2 blocks. Put a normal piston here. And then on top of these, we'll have 2 hoppers going back and forth. Then we'll have a comparator and redstone dust. And then when it comes to the next one after this, you might have guessed already, you would go back down and do the thing that we repeated at the beginning. Alright, so the next step is to hook up all these Etho hopper clocks to the actual system. So how we're going to do that is whenever these redstone blocks are in their on position, so that would be right here, we need a redstone line to turn on. So let's put a row of blocks here, and on top of these, we will have redstone dust. Now, if you're going to have over 10 floors in your elevator, again, we ran into another issue with your V shape right here. Now, how we're going to fix that? Well, right here, this block, whenever this redstone dust gets activated, will power this piston, and that's not something we want, so we first need to replace this with a glass block. Now, over here, this redstone block will also work in the same position, so we'll have a glass block and redstone dust, and then we will connect this redstone dust with the others with simply a repeater. Now, for these lower ones, we cannot actually put a block in the off position for the redstone block, because the redstone dust will connect to the red coder. So what we're going to do is we are going to reverse the system. We're going to do that by simply having redstone torch. So now whenever this redstone block is in this position, the redstone torch will be on, and whenever it's in this position, the redstone torch will be off. Alright, so our next step is to work on these torch towers. So for the left one, we are going to first connect this up with this lamp. So I'm going to do this while bringing this torch tower down. I'm going to place a torch right there. I'm going to come down 2 blocks, place another torch right here, and then I'm going to come at an angle. That way, the torch is right there, and we can just put a redstone dust right here. Now we can come all the way straight down from right here. Now when you extend your torch tower all the way to your ground level, which is where you're going to connect this up with all these others, you need to quickly go up to the top and make sure that this torch right here is on. If this torch is off, what we're going to do is come down and simply make a little squiggle. So I'm going to bring this right on over to the side so we can put a torch there and put a torch there. By doing that, all we did is simply change it so this torch up here is normally off instead of on. Now, we want that torch to normally be on, so I'm going to just revert it back to how mine originally was. Now we need to do the exact same thing for the right torch tower, so I'm just going to bring this down a block, put a torch. Now, you're going to hear some noises of the pistons moving and stuff, but just ignore that for right now. Now, I finished putting in the right torches, and as we can hear, I can hear some clicking. So if these 2 observers from this sticky piston is being pushed together, then that means the torches are not in the correct default phase. What that means is we simply need to change this torch tower around. So I'm going to extend this. I'm going to put a block right here, and I will have a torch going up at an angle, and then another torch going up at an angle. And like that, we should, if you come all the way up to the top, you should see that the observer has been pulled back, stopping the clock, and stopping all the clicking noises. Alright, so now we are moving on to the final bits of redstone for this entire elevator. So now coming around to the bottom, we have all this redstone dust here, and then you might have some of these torches. Now, depending on your setup, you might have to do this a little differently, but here's how I would do it for mine. So I'm going to come from here, and I'm going to place a block there, and right on top of this block, I'm going to have a repeater. This repeater is going to go into a block, and then I'm going to have 2 blocks coming down right here. Now on top of those, I'd have 2 bits of redstone dust, and then right here, I would put a block. And the reason we're doing this is so that the redstone dust isn't connecting with the other bits of redstone dust. Now from here, I'm going to have a repeater, and then that repeater I'm going to keep on 1 tick. Now I'm going to place 3 blocks in right like this, so that I connect all this redstone dust with all these torches, and then I'm going to come right out here, place a repeater and redstone dust. Now from here, this first tower is what turns the entire system on. Now we want to have the second tower have a bit of delay, that way you have time to hop in, go up, before the entire system will reset itself. Now we're going to extend this out another 2 blocks, and then right here we'll have 2 bits of redstone dust. Those 2 redstone dust is going to connect into 3 comparators that we will have right here. These comparators are going to go into a block, and then on the other side we will have a piece of redstone dust, and then another 2 comparators going into this block. And just like that, all the redstone is complete. Alright, moving on to the final steps. In order to finish your elevator, we're going to come around to the front, and we're going to place some buttons down. These are going to stop the water from flowing out, and if you want your drops to shoot, the best thing to do is just put a button right here, and a water bucket right on top. Now on your way up, I would just put in some buttons on every single floor. And at the top, simply have a water bucket flowing all the way down to the bottom. When you make it to the bottom, simply grab some kelp and go all the way up like this. This will make sure that every single block in your water bubble vader is a solid block. Then coming down to the bottom, all you have to do is remove the kelp and then put a soil right there. Now you need to go to every single one of your modules and put a water bucket in there, and then prime the system by pushing the piston forward. Now you need to remember and make sure to do this for every single one of your modules, otherwise the system will not work. Now the one final thing we have left to do is to actually put items in our Etho hopper clocks. Now when it comes to actually doing this for the first time, you're going to have to do a bit of guessing. So I recommend putting 2 items for every single floor. So this one would be 4. So we have 2, 4, the next one would be 6. And then the next one would be 8, and so on, just like that. Now if we come around to the front, we actually have to do some testing in order to get this elevator to work. So I'm going to go to floor 3 first. So I press a button, and then hop in. And we can see I go 1, 2, 3. I am at floor 3, no hiccups. So now all we have to do is to try another floor. So I'm going to come down to the bottom, and I'm going to try floor 2. So I press a button, and then I hop in, and I should make it all the way to floor 2. And just like that, it worked. Now if you run into any issues, all you have to do is to add or remove items from this item hopper, and that will slow your system down. And then if you really need to slow it down, again, all you have to do is to put more items into these droppers, and that again will slow the system down, so it'll work better on servers and realms. But that is it, guys. If you guys enjoyed, hit the like button. If you really enjoyed, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you all on the next video.